Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, I think. It's one of those long game titles I'm going to probably consistently get wrong as we go. I'm Mysterious JG, and I'm having a good time. Having a good time. Actually, don't think it's a place where I can easily murder you. Alright, so I'm not going to go crazy with gameplay explanations here, but I specifically held off talking about shards last time in the hopes of getting somewhere in the video. But inventory, you get a couple of different categories of items. These items here, that's just the all items tab. These are usable. There's food items. Food is kind of an interesting mechanic. The very first time you craft a recipe for food, you get permanent stat bonuses, and from that point on, it's just like healing and HP recovery. But we'll get to a point later on where there's a person who asks for specific foods, and if you give it to them, you get other rewards. Then you got your crafting items. So bronze, writhing limbs, and cannon scraps, these are all things that we can eventually use to make weapons and other items. Key items would be the galleon map. I don't remember what that slot's for, actually. Oh, books? Books comes way later in the game, and I'm not even sure if that's what that slot is for. So, never mind. And then equipment is pretty self-explanatory, but shards are interesting. You can see there shards, like we've got Cerulean Splash and Gale Crawler, which is actually a somewhat better attack. But you can see it says rank, grade, and then rank increases coverage. The grade is just, we've gotten 2 Cerulean Splash crystals, so it's grade 2. And to get your grade up to the maximum, which is 9, all you really got to do is keep grinding against that enemy until you get 9 of their crystals. That can take a really long time with enemies that have low drop rates. And after doing a ludicrous amount, arguably, of off-screening in the first section of the game, there's still a couple of monsters here where I never got level 9 shards, even though I specifically set out to do so. And by level, I mean grade. Rank is different. Rank is something we'll get to a point later where we have Johannes set up someplace where he can use alchemy to create items and stuff for us. That includes increasing the rank of our crystals by combining them with crafting ingredients. So it's different. It's usually a lot harder to rank them up to 9 than it is to get the grade up to 9. But rank has a separate effect. For Cerulean Splash, increases duration. Not that critical, I suppose. For Gale Crawler, it increases coverage. Don't know exactly what that means. This is what Gale Crawler looks like in effect. So I'm thinking it just becomes a wider blast that goes farther. Then with our Flame Cannon, increases the number of projectiles casted at once. You could use this as a weapon. We were instructed to use it specifically on a cannon to trigger a change to the map. But you can use this as a weapon. In some cases, it could be handy. And then we'll get others, manipulative, passive. Manipulative is another thing where you do it to mess with gameplay environment, like map environment stuff. Passive is just a passive boost. Once you've got one, there's no reason not to have it equipped until you find a passive boost that's better. And then familiars will be similar to what we've seen in other Castlevania, Metroidvania games where you can have a little person floating around on the screen helping you out. But we won't be coming across some of those until later. There's a blue chest with halite and sugar. Halite? Maybe? I don't know. So this chest here is a short sword. Wappets are going to be more likely to come in green chests and stuff. You can also buy them later in the game when a shop becomes available. You can create them through alchemy. But you're never going to find them in those blue chests because the blue chests... I could turn out to be wrong, but I don't think you find them in the blue chests because the blue chests respawn. And getting lots and lots of weapons you don't need anymore. It's not a bad way to raise money since you can sell them. You can also pull them apart, disassemble them from alchemy ingredients. Although there's a reactive you need in order to disassemble something, which then becomes your, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you have a point in a process, which, not a fail point, but I cannot remember business school terminology that I can't think of. It's like if you have a big process with like 5 different tubes, but at one point they all come together into one tube. The speed at which you can throughput that tube is what determines how quickly you can complete the process. There's a much simpler term for that I can't. Bottleneck. Your bottleneck is the item that you need in order to disassemble stuff. So eventually you find yourself grinding against the enemies that drop that just because buying it is really not cost effective. You can find yourself buying an item that lets you do an alchemy thing that will create something you can sell for money, but it desperately cuts into your profits for each time by having to do the alchemy thing. Flying air kick, you can do with various shoes. Not that worried. Well, I mean, I'll show it off once, but on screen we're not that worried about it. I'm not doing it bright here, but like if you do it 3 times in a row, it's like un, deux, trois. She becomes French. Trish, that's French. That's not the button I meant. This button. Let's check out the sword. Oh, and as you see the little icons there, one of them is stabby, one of them is slice. I forget what the other one was. I guess if all that's watching this, Grim, if any of my D&D homeboys out there would know, it's whatever the term, the action-adventure game term for non-bladed weapons. You know, clerics have to whack shit with, like, staves. Because they have a thing about not cutting stuff up and getting blood. Can't think of the word. I can't think of a lot of words today. I want to see it's the John Cena ground and pound technique. It's pounding damage. So we have a Miriam's favorite scarf, but you can barely see that it's tied around her neck at all. It appears to just be coming out of the top of her back. But either way, we can switch this to a Tattered Scarf. Increases mind and defense. This just increases defense. It is a better item. It doesn't look that nice, but again, you can't barely register that stuff in gameplay. The character model is not big enough for you to really stress over whether you like her scarf. The helmets are the only ones where sometimes the headgear is just like really makes her look goofy or stupid, and I don't like it. But I'm generally going to use whatever gives me the best stats. Is that like an ink drawing of Cthulhu on that wall? That would be an indication that the crew knew things bad were coming. Do a bit more damage if you hit the orange crystal on the head. There is a chest up there. We cannot reach it right now. I don't think double jump will let us reach it. There's going to be like a mid to late game movement mechanic we'll need to unlock before we can get that chest. So I expect it's going to be something pretty good. Here's one of the enemies where I never got 9 quantity of its crystals. At least not in this current adventure. The Ghost. One thing, it has a tendency to leave the screen and not return, which is a bit frustrating if you're obsessed with getting all the crystal shards. It has a particularly low drop rate for its crystal shard. Come back here, you bastard. It doesn't always do that. Now I'm really frustrated because off screen I'm a bit more powerful. It can kill these in 2 hits. Now I don't know how many it's going to take. Probably I want to try. He did it again. It does this sometimes. It's not like every single time. I'm kind of surprised it did it twice in a row on here. But that's what you really want to do, is bust out your magic. So it's a ghost. If it drops ectoplasm and... I forget the name of it. But it's the actual ingredient I'm talking about that's your bottleneck for some of your alchemy experiments. Where you want to kill an enemy that drops a weapon that can be melted down into alchemy ingredients you need for other recipes. The ghost enemy drops that stuff, so even later in the game, when you're not getting a lot of experience rewards for it, if you're really trying to do a lot with the alchemy mechanic, you may find yourself back here fighting this guy just because that item is quite valuable. And the value isn't really reflected by its purchase. It's expensive to... It's somewhat expensive to buy, but... Alcahest, that's what it is. it's kind of like you can sell it for money early in the game if you are not aware of what its use will eventually be. But yeah, buying it in huge quantities is prohibitively expensive. Oh, a monster face showed up instead of enemy face. Well, that's a thing. Safe ring. We've got 2 slots and only 1 thing equipped, so we could use it. Not crazy about this one. Defense 15, attack -10. Obviously, your gross stats are better when it's equipped, but trading offense for defense, not always advisable. It's certainly not something you'd want to be using on return trips to this area to grind for resources. Yeah, see, I'm doing 1 damage per hit here. So the stats, our overall stats are low enough now that -10 is substantial. We got corn, potato, and rice seeds. We'll probably, within the course of this video, be coming across where you use that, because I think we're progressing reasonably quickly here. If I can beat the boss on the first try, we should be getting a lot of gameplay stuff that I've been talking about, like alchemy and whatnot, becomes available after we clear this tutorial area. And again, I forgot to actually showcase this screen being blocked off. Oh, we never came here. Didn't intentionally miss it. Nothing hugely important going on here. Although I'm glad we came back with some treasure chests I wouldn't want to miss, including a musketoon. A gun can be shot by equipping a consumable bullet. When you run out of the type of bullet that is, well, message right now. But what they're getting at is that when you use guns, we have SV rounds, soft point rounds with no penetrative capability, but they do far more damage than just the default infinite rounds. But you can only shoot them 16 times before they run out. 16 times is not in any way accurate. We currently have 16 of them. You saw them as an item drop when fighting cannons, amongst other enemies. They can be purchased. Once we... Oh, was she going to do a little... Okay, I thought she did a little spinny thing. I thought she was going to do a blow on the end of the barrel thing, which would have been fun. I don't know that I found this real off screen. I might have. It's only HP Max. HP Max. Doing groovy dancing because of HP Max. Oh, and before anyone wonders, that is a homage. The person whose series in the past have done the Heart Max dance. That is their thing they came up with, and I'm please don't think that they stole that from me because of something they did not. Anyway. Heart Max dance is copyright, intellectual copyright of Boba the Vulture. Did I read this one already? Yes, I did. Slash, thrust, and strike. That is not the term from D&D I was trying to think of for melee damage using a non-bladed weapon, but that is what this game is calling it. Slash, strike, and thrust. So now we're using the first of the game's great swords. They're kind of what I like. From a style perspective, when we get a whip, it's tempting to use a whip just for, nostalgia for Castlevania. And there's other weapons that are much faster. But time your strikes with this, and you need fewer hits to win. And it's going to be a good bet in certain cases. You're fighting something that's really mobile. It might not be the smartest way to go. If you've got something that does enough damage per hit and hits fast enough that you can do more DPS with a faster weapon, you're going to want to go there, particularly against bosses. But against fairly weak enemies, There are going to be times where one hit from the claymore or other greatsword will kill it, and it will take 2 hits from anything else. And you're going to want to use the greatsword if you got the timing down. But now we got the whip. I haven't found the whip to be that great. I want to use it, not for like sex safe factor, like, oh, cute chick with a whip, but just more from a Castlevania nostalgia factor. I've certainly played games where a hot chick with a whip was a fun addition to the game. Not denying that that can't be a fun thing, but they don't do. It's not like often like I'm thinking of whip from King of the Fighters. I like the whip because of the range it gives you. But in this game, you've got lots of other weapons whose range is just as good or better. So what would sometimes make a whip special in these games is kind of not special for this one. There's a flame whip much later. You got to go out of your way to get the resources to make it. But that's potentially pretty good. But a lot of these weapons are going to have special damage type variations that can be found throughout the game. The whip is not unique in that respect. Oh, right on top of the guy. That probably wasn't wise. As a matter of fact, unless there's a save point right there, and I think there actually is, we would probably want to go back. I took a lot of damage there. But there is a save point. And she does a little sit down, crosses her legs, ladylike. You're not going to be seeing any of Miriam's good stuff. No determination yet on whether any of her naughty bits have turned into crystal. Because that is what it's meant. Like these weird color patterns on her, that's meant to represent... I don't think they're meant to be runes or tattoos. I think they are meant to represent like some kind of bizarre magic crystallization that is happening to her. Let's go whip some rats. Which don't really hurt you, they're just kind of being a bitch. I would say the rats should be leaving this sinking ship, but the ship will continue to be an area we can come back to and grind and research, explore, so it's not really sinking at all. So as you can see, there's a couple of areas we can't reach. There's a whole hallway here that apparently can only be reached from below using double jump or some other mobility thing. There's a treasure chest in the top right corner that can only be reached by mobility. Same thing, all these little areas are just places where later game mobility will help us get there. Are these 2 T-shaped hollows on the map? Are there secret passages again in there? If there are, I did not notice, and I'm not doing a particularly thorough exploration. Let's think about what Whoppet we think is best for what's coming. Because what's coming is the first boss battle. The final boss of what's sort of vaguely the tutorial area, I guess. We do the most damage, obviously, with the greatsword. I guess the whip does more damage than like your dagger or your karate moves. Short sword is comparable. Short sword is kind of like there's degrees here. Sword is going to be slower than knife, but not as slow as claymore. Whip is similar, not quite as rangy or as claymore. It doesn't do as much damage, but it's a bit slower than some of these others. Check out the short sword. That seems pretty middle of the roadie. I think for the hell of it, let's stick with the whip. Infinite rounds is just going to sit there being equipped. There's really nothing I can do about it now. And it's not hurting anything for it to be there. I might want to think about whether that fireball would be a better or worse weapon against this boss that we're about to encounter. And you can tell it's a boss because of this crazy door with like hellfire cracks on it. They are telegraphing that it's not. It doesn't have a sign over it that says boss ahead, but yeah, they telegraph it pretty clearly that we're about to face a boss. Ooh, final boss is already here apparently.
So, Sleeping Beauty, you've decided to awaken.
It wasn't so much a conscious decision as... Oh, wait, never mind, I get your point.
Gebel, tell me you didn't do this. It doesn't make any sense.
My name is clearly Gebel.
How does it not? After all the sins humans wrought upon us?
It makes sense to make a magical castle with demons that kill nearby humans. and may or may not have some long-term disastrous effect.
Johannes told me what they did to you.
Sounds pretty rough, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I understand why you're being a little pissy.
And you're right, it's horrible. But what you're doing now is just as bad.
No! No, there you are. Very wrong.
You know what? I'm going to mansplain this to you.
What the alchemists did was reshuffle our bodies.
Yeah, I'm with you. Keep your laws off my body, but still.
What I intend to do is reshuffle the world. I'd say I've earned the right.
Shades of Cao Cao. The world does something bad to me. I am going to do that to the world. Oh, Cao Cao is more like I'm going to wrong the world before it has an opportunity to wrong me. But yeah, a little bit of a drama queen here. Not that shocking for somebody whose own crystallizations have already given him a Phantom of the Opera mask. But he's been a little bit of a drama queen here. People did something bad to me, so I'm going to destroy the entire world. That'll teach him.
Join me, Miriam.
And together we can rule the galaxy as father and son. Friends. With benefits? Question mark.
You're the only one who understands the pain I feel. What it's like to no longer be human.
Oh, totes.
What? I never thought I'd hear those words from you.
You never gave me credit for understanding your pain.
I was the one that came to you broken. Convinced I was a monster. And you told me...
This is nonsense.
I have a Rolodex. I have a perfect memory of all our conversations, and I never supported you emotionally once.
You told me... Our power doesn't make us good or bad. Our choices do.
Sounds like he was a good guy, but 10 years worth of shit might have messed with him a bit.
I'd given up on my humanity, but you restored my hope. Don't you remember?
It's pretty apparent he doesn't. You've convinced me. Good end. Game over.
Master Gebel, we
Oh.
must return.
So, not sure... Well, I know because I finished the game, but at this point you're like, not sure who this person is, but they pop up once his resolve to be evil dissipates. Thinking this is not a good character here that will be a future friend of ours. Also, character design suggests she's way the fuck more evil and terrifying than he is.
Yes.
He's just some fop in a Phantom of the Opera mask. She appeared to have the Eye of Sauron floating above her head.
Miriam, I tire of reminiscing with you.
But it's a good tired.
You're here to kill me, aren't you? Then first prove you can find me.
Oh, no, no worries, man. I got tactical nukes. I just got to get within a couple square miles.
Along the way, you'll have no choice but to absorb shards and avail yourself of the powers of hell.
Sounds pretty neat.
If you can still claim to be human at the end of it all, then perhaps I might be more inclined to listen.
Oh, and it's pretty obvious already that weird floaty chick with Eye of Sauron over her head probably can't be in the room if we're going to have a heart-to-heart where my mind doesn't spontaneously turn evil.
Come, Gregory. We're leaving.
I know that. I just told you that. It's not the Eye of Sauron. It's something like black hole. Demon shit. Ooh, well, I guess never mind. We do get a shot up the skirt. Demon sisters be doing it for themselves, honey. So when I did this off screen, I had done quite a bit of leveling. This is certainly going to be more challenging than this. I do not believe this enemy, despite having an aquatic theme, has specific elemental resistance against aqua, which is why I think it's okay to be using the power I'm using. Okay. I don't know how I meant to avoid that. Serious question, do I have healing items? I think I do. I've got a handful of these to use. Didn't need any off-screen, but again, off-screen I had, like, done grinding before getting here and made it way easier than it was meant to be. not that many different ways to go about hitting. You kind of just got to get in this position to do any real damage. Don't get so close that she knocks you back with that attack. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing it here. I believe we are. So as best you can, avoid those attacks, but you generally can't get too far away, or you lose a lot of your best opportunities to damage her. It's very hard to damage her here. Am I meant to be getting up on this platform to shoot her in the head? Or just trying to avoid her? Just getting all the way off to the side seems to be the best thing you can do there. You can get some damage in. Okay, that was a complete waste of all my magic. It's too far away. Well, there you go. I failed. First game over. Didn't take long. Beat that boss easy off-screen because I had leveled up. This time I'm just trying to power through to get to the point where some of my off-screen leveling occurred. I don't think in any way, shape, or form that boss is unwinnable without grinding. I just wasn't doing that great a job avoiding its attacks. Some of them are easier to avoid than others. I took hits from that like Squirtle-style water cannon attack that I could have avoided because it was only on the second pass that I realized it's a fairly simple pattern to evade. The fireballs or water balls that it shoots up into the air that descend down, if you're not just obsessed with standing there spamming attacks and you're paying attention to those, they are quite dodgeable as well. Backstepping is a thing I have not been using that I probably need to start using. But the big thing that I don't think I'm ever really going to be effectively dodging is when those attacks where it was actually like shooting. Okay, so I do have my potions back. That's nice. It is a true, like it is truly at the same place that I was when I saved. It's not like some kind of quick save where like your consumables are gone. So a couple things that we could do. We could do Musketoon with SP rounds to get some damage in early from a safe distance, and then switch to melee when we're out of that option. We do not need to see this again.
Sleeping. Come, Gregory. We're leaving.
Sure thing, Mr. H. I mean G.
Gebel, wait!
Sure thing, Mr. J. So they're not undodgeable, it's just they're probably the ones most difficult to dodge. Those tentacle swings while staying in a pattern where you're actually going to do a little damage. Ow. So here, like, it seems like you should be able to get up on this. And I can't. Oh, you can. You just have to... I think I'm going to take the hit this time. Yeah. Didn't space it right to avoid that. Okay, I'm out of the fancy bullets, so unless I just want to stay far away and hit it with wimpy shots, I'm going to need to switch to something else. Try Claymore this time. Anything? Oh, I never put on the... Oh, that was stupid. That makes a big difference, too. I never equipped the armor we came across. Not going to do safe ring, because it's going to make our offense suck. But... Okay, I'm going to get the potions out. This is where the Claymore can be problematic. You can get stun locked by enemies. get better damage for hitting her in the face, but that's not possible in a lot of situations. Damn it. Kind of don't want to let this one end this way. I'd like to actually win this fight. Like I said, grinded off screen, so I didn't have just dancing around fighting enemies in the first area, trying to get high level crystals and whatnot. So didn't really anticipate having that much trouble with this first boss. But the bosses of this game can be pretty challenging if you're not really well equipped. You could get really good at their patterns. That's what you're meant to do, just get better. It is a game that allows you to just kind of brute force your way past without really getting that good against each individual boss. But I think Claymore is a terrible weapon to use against those fishy guys that she sends after you, because it's just slow. You're going to need 2 hits, and you tend to get stuck on them. Against her own body, it might be the best thing that you can do. Although getting in there with peppering her with shots from a quicker weapon might also be effective. Having our armor equipped from jump will make a difference, because I didn't bother to get that set up before. Damn it, that... Yeah, they do telegraph when that's coming. You should be able to avoid it better. But there I just got out of range without realizing it was stupid. Okay, let's get all the way off to the sides here. Better job of actually taking a little advantage of that. Oh, I'm down to where I need the potions again already. I don't know that I did better this time, honestly. Okay, let's switch to a faster weapon for dealing with these little friends. Honestly, it might be the best thing to go with anyway. Although here, one big hit while jumping past that attack is probably best. There we go. Taking advantage of that moment of the attack phase instead of playing total defense, and just having my best armor equipped from jump was the difference. And bosses always give you a shard, but since you can't really farm them for more, I don't know that they're better than farming for shards against regular enemies. But we now have Thrashing Tentacle, and can attack foes with one of Vipar's Vipar's tentacles. Will we be using that in future videos? Will I ignore it entirely? Well, the only way to know for sure is to tune in next time on Mysterious Shape. Well, I guess technically, unless I use it next time and answer the question, the only way to confirm I'll never use it would be to watch the whole series, which I heartily recommend. Your mileage on that suggestion may vary. I'll catch you guys in future videos, should you choose to watch. Bye.